Welcome back to another edition of the Dirty Dozen podcast. As always, I'm the host, Marco, manager of the Bounce Back Busters, and here with me today to recap week one, the first week of the season, was my arch nemesis for the week, who beat me and really has an opportunity now to talk his smack. Vinko, welcome to the podcast, manager of the Hooded Bandit. Great to have you today.
Thanks for having me, Marco. We're not doing a shout out to our sponsors today.
This podcast is brought to you by It's always brought to you by Wendy's and their spicy chicken nuggets. Get yours today. The 4 for 4 is lit, and the biggie bag is even better. So, thank you, Wendy's. If there's other sponsors that want to sponsor this podcast, by all means, let me know.
Yep, and shout out to Pizza Wagon.
Oh, shout out. Yes, Pizza Wagon should sponsor this thing. I got to hit Tony up. He's got to sponsor this bad boy. We got to get like PW t-shirts and just wear them on the pod. Every week I'm going to wear a different baseball hat, by the way. I know this is a fantasy football podcast, but I'm going to wear a different baseball hat every week. So be on the lookout for that. Keep track of my hats. Make sure I don't repeat. So week one went well for some people and not so good for others. But I think it went best for the guy that's on the podcast, Vinko. So tell me about how your week went.
Well, Marco, I think week one being paired up against you couldn't have been a better matchup. I think for the fans and for both of us. I think we went in there with a ton of anticipation, a lot of smack talk in the group chat, and I think it played out well, at least for myself. I could say that, Monday night I was resting easy. Sunday, it was very tense. I didn't think it would come down to a close game. I think it was something like 7-point-something points or whatever. But to say I was nervous, nah. But Sunday was a good day.
Yeah, I mean, so to recap, for those of you not in our league, and eventually I will get to the point where I could throw in like different cool stuff, but I'm still working on figuring this shit out. So I don't really.
Video guy,
I know I have to get a video guy. I don't use a producer anymore, but I now have to get a video editor. But anyway, so Vinko ended up. So my team, the Busters, we scored the second most in the league this week, 145.56, and still managed to lose to Vinko, who dropped 152.7 on my dome. So Vinko scored.
Your team name, by the way.
What?
You're changing your team name to Marco and one?
No, still the bounce back Busters because we're still bouncing back from last year. But it's a good try, though. So 152.7 was the highest scored this week, and Vinko scored it. And I think Vinko feels good about himself because he was ranked 8th by Rich and I, and he showed us out. So going on top of that, so we're going to get to the power rankings. We're going to jump right in. But before I get to that, I want to talk about something that I started doing, and it's called the Achievement Tracker. So shout out to DJ for bringing this to my attention. And what I did on the Team of the Week PowerPoint was I identified who had the most amount of points from their projection, so who overachieved the most. So whatever you were projected, if you scored the most out of your projection and then the least on your projection. And I thought that was cool. And then I said, well, why don't I just track that for the whole year? So that's what the Achievement Tracker is on the Power Rankings Excel sheet on the second sheet. So if you take a look at that, and maybe you'll take a look at it while you're doing this, but while you're not. So if you look at the tracker sheet, I have weeks 1 to 17. Those are the 17 weeks with which we will be in fantasy. So here's what we're trying to look at. We want to see how good or bad you are based on your projection. So, for example, if I'm in 10th place, right, and I have about an even spread where my total spread, okay, so for example, so week one, the person that exceeded expectations the most was Vinko. He scored 31.7 points over projection. So his achievement tracker's at 31.7. On the other hand, Cataldo scored minus 35.04 on projection, so he's 35 points under. So for Vinko is exceeding ESPN's expectations of where he is, and Cataldo is not exceeding expectations. He's under expectation. So if Vinko is in first and he has a high achievement spread, that means that he's the best team by far. If he's in first place and his achievements spread is about even, that means he's just as good as ESPN thinks he is. And, he's also still pretty good. If Vinko's in first place, but his achievement spread is negative, that means that Vinko's team isn't as good as ESPN thinks it is, but he's still in first probably because he has easy matchups. On the other hand, if Vinko is in, if I'm in 10th place, right, and my achievement tracker, but my achievement spread is up, that means that I'm doing well, I'm exceeding expectations, but I'm getting destroyed on matchups. If I'm in 10th and my achievement spread is the same or at 0, close to 0, that means I'm just as bad as ESPN thinks I am. If I'm in 10th and my achievement spread is really low, negative, that means I'm even worse than ESPN thinks I am. So I hope that clears everything up, and it'll be interesting to see who's as good as they say they are, who's better than ESPN thinks they are, and who's just as bad or even worse than ESPN thinks they are. Does that make sense, Vinko?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I think it'll be a pretty cool thing to track. So that's the explanation on that. So basing off of that, Vinko exceeded expectations. He exceeded my expectations, Rich's expectations, ESPN's expectations, and so we have him number 1 on the power rankings this week. So Vinko tops the power rankings. He is up 7 spots from the post-draft rankings. So do you want me to talk about your team, or do you want to toot your little horn?
Yeah, I mean, you can start, and then I'll just criticize everything you said in week 1, or the pre-draft, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
Post-draft.
Let me take a gander at the old hooded bandit. Yeah, I mean,
I was going to start off by just saying Rich ranked me 9, you ranked me 7. I guess you did me some justice, but you guys said that I was very dependent on Josh Allen, McCaffrey, and AJ Brown. I hope I proved you guys wrong at least this week with that. I think everyone on my team scored double digits except for maybe like Michael Carter and like AJ Green.
Well, McCaffrey did lead McCaffrey did lead all running backs like he usually should. Josh Allen didn't have a good game, but CeeDee Lamb was really good. Corey Davis was a monster.
Who, by the way, you and Rich both said Brock.
I was low on. I mean, he's got 2 tutties, but I was kind of low on just because I just don't like people on bad offenses, and I don't think the Jets are going to be good. But
that they throw to there, though, right?
Yeah, well, that's what you want for your flex. So I guess your flex and my flex are similar. The fact that they're the number 1 guys on really bad teams, so it's okay to take the flyer. The good thing for you is that you have 2 other flyers, Jamar Chase and Devonta Smith, that you can use. So I was not that high on Devonta Smith, not that high on Jamar Chase. Actually, I was pretty high on Jamar Chase. Okay, so I guess I'll say like most of your team I would not have drafted. That's why I put you at 7. Most of your team I would not have drafted, and it proved me wrong. So for that, I give hats off to you. And listen, I think your team is projected 121.6 again this week. I do struggle. I still don't think Dallas Goedert's going to be amazing, but you never know with Jalen Hurts.
Honestly, with him, the reason I drafted him was I think I drafted a tight end pretty late, and the main driver for that really was that I think Goddard will be Jalen Hurts' like bailout. So when he doesn't have Devonta Smith or Rager to throw to in the end zone, it's going to be Goddard. I don't like if you watched the game the other day, they weren't running it in the end zone. At least I didn't see that. And so I think like Dallas Goedert will be that guy that they'll look for when they're like right in the red zone.
So you're pretty high on Jalen Hurts as a fantasy guy.
Yeah, I mean I'm normally not an Eagles guy, and I have three Eagles guys on my team. So I think he's a great fantasy quarterback, and I think he'll do. Week 1 impressed me a lot. So I'm sticking by him. And I think if anything, I have maybe not in Dallas Goedert, but with Rager and Devonta Smith, I do have some leverage and value for trading. So maybe something I look down the line. I've already received a couple offers for potential wide receiver swap for a running back. I know I'm weak at the running back with Myles Gaskin, and I do potentially see myself looking to upgrade that position, trading in some of my wide receivers for that.
Yeah, Gaskin is my only question mark on your team. I mean, it's only 1 week, and I had a lot of questions about your team, My only question now is your RB2, and I think you have 5 startable wide receivers on your team, so you have a lot of room to make some moves. So good on you. Congrats on getting. I mean, listen, the first no surprise. I mean, statistically, no surprise that the number one overall pick scored the most amount of points week 1. So maybe it's my bad for not realizing that. But
It's
listen,
really yours to lose if you have the number one pick. It's
agreed.
hard to mess it out and mess that up.
So Vinko at number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2 in the power rankings this week is another guy that is a guy that we actually ranked high in the post draft rankings. Josh. Josh is at number 2. Listen, his wide receivers. I said he had one of the best wide receiver cores. I think he was second on that list. He has monster wide receivers. They put up pretty good numbers last week.
I
And
think
listen,
I think the main thing, Marco, that we can walk away with is Josh has the steal of the draft.
Jameis
Right.
Winston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
And I said it. I said it last week. I said that guy's gonna end up being the steal of the draft. And it's funny because if Josh didn't take him, nobody was gonna take him. So
it's bad because I honestly I've talked to a couple people and they've all said that they thought that he was already off the board when we were drafting that last round, and I didn't even bother looking. And I drafted Roethlisberger almost to spite Josh, just because I know he had him last year and he bailed him out a lot, but also because I thought I needed a second quarterback. In hindsight, I probably should have gone down that board and done a little bit more research to see Jameis there. But yeah, he definitely got the steal of the draft. And like you said, Josh, I think, drafted 12th, and we all let him go down that far.
yeah.
That.
I don't. Again, I look at Josh's team, and I know Mark Andrews didn't have a good game, and I know Mike Evans didn't have a good game, but like, those aren't guys I'm worried about. Maybe Mike Evans, but like, he also has Darrell Henderson, so it
I
doesn't
think
even
Mike
matter.
Evans was all part of just like game flow. I really think that's what it was
Yeah, I agree. Like it's
against the Cowboys. Like you know just as well as I do. Like Tom Brady, he throws to everyone, and so although it was Godwin and Antonio Brown, last week, I think this week we might see Mike Evans more involved with the terrible Falcons defense.
yeah. I mean, I don't expect Gronkowski. I mean, I think Gronk will be pretty good, but I don't expect Gronkowski to have 8 catches on 8 targets, 90 yards, and 2 touchdowns again. Like
Yeah.
I mean, they are playing the Falcons, so everyone's gonna eat that day, but.
And I think the added thing with not only Josh's team having amazing wide receivers, it's like he has the number one defense, and them getting double digits last week against a very good offense with the Bills. Like he's gonna get that every week, I think, with the Steelers, and that's just bonus points for him. And so he has a well-rounded team. I thought my main concern, like last week with Josh's team, was the question mark with Eckler and his injury. I mean, he proved us wrong last week. Edmonds, I'm still not big with Arizona running backs, but again, he put up solid numbers, and I'm sure he'll continue to do that. I just think Kyler likes to throw a lot, and I think that offense likes to throw a lot. So, but really, I can't fault him on his running backs because they're solid, and even his bench looked pretty solid too, with like Sony Michel, Darrell Henderson, McCole Hartman, like these, and Cole Kmet. I really like Cole Kmet. I think he'll come out more as the season progresses. We saw a little bit of him this week against who did Chicago?
Yeah, Chicago played the Rams.
Oh yeah, the Rams.
He had 7 targets.
Yeah, so I think Josh, his team is really, and even when Jamison Crowder comes back, I think he'll be more involved in the Jets offense. So Josh's team has a lot of trade material too if he really wants to move up in any positions. But I think his starting team, he's well off, and I think he'll be battling up for the number one spot every week.
Yeah, I think Josh's team is one of the only teams that, like, if you look at his starting lineup, that it genuinely does not have a weak point.
Yeah.
And he definitely has one flex that can definitely start on any other person's team, and then he has a bunch of flyers that could end up being good. So yeah, Josh at 2.
How much do you know how many points Josh put up last week? Was it 145?
He put up no, he wanted to put up 145 to score more than me, but he put up 133.2.
So, and that was with Stephon Diggs being shut down by the Steelers. So.
I mean, Diggs had 9 catches for 69 yards. He had 14 targets.
Yeah. Oh.
No, I mean, Mark Andrews only had 5. Mike Evans only had 5.4, and his defense got him 1 because he started Giants defense over Steelers, which I would have done too. Because I don't really start defenses that play against like the Bills, the Chiefs, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson. Like, there's no point in starting in defense against those guys. Um,
And him having Amari too with Dak back, that there's nothing to say about that. That's just dangerous for us.
so good shit, dude. Josh, number 2. Number 3 on the power rankings this week is
Very
Grant.
controversial.
Yeah, is Grant. It's not that controversial. Grant, he scored the second most. No, did he outscore me? No, I don't think he did. No, he scored the third most amount of points last week. But now he's got a little bit of an issue. Well, not really. He kind of solved it. He scored 145.2.
Rewatching that pod yesterday that you guys did last week, you really bashed this team being with the no running back approach. But if you really look at it, this guy has 1, 2, 3, 4, I'd say 4 top 15, 20 wide receivers on his team that'll probably put up like 15 to 20 points every week. So I think him not having, I guess, top 20 running backs or whatever you guys want to call it, doesn't really do anything for him because he still has Dak that's going to put up over 20 points. And then Travis Kelce's a lock for over 15 points a week. Darren Waller, we saw, was heavily involved in the Raiders offense with, I don't even know how many targets. Was it, like
19 targets.
19? Yeah, well, I was way off. But yeah, exactly. So these guys will all put up a ton of points. And then everything he gets from Nyheim Hines, that's just like extra bonus points that we would scrap for. Like, think about it. What he gets from Nyheim Hines is what we get from our tight ends. Right, and then similarly, what he gets from Elijah Mitchell is what he gets from his defenses, or
From
like
his flex.
yeah, right. So like, his team is perfectly fine, and then to say like he doesn't have a bench with T Higgins, like I had T Higgins last year and I was super high on him this year. Joe Burrow likes to throw to him. He's good. I think he's the wide receiver 1 on that team, with Jamar Chase being the 2. Trey Sermon, that it's tough with what's going on in the 49ers offense to say who the main guy is, but him picking up Elijah Mitchell this morning was a big thing for him. I think he dropped a lot of money for him. I don't know.
He spent $37 on Elijah Mitchell this morning.
I saw like all over Reddit though, people were saying you need to put $40 to lock him down. Like that's what he's going for, this and that. So I don't think I think for our league, I think the person below him put 28, right? Was that you or?
No, 20. I think
20?
Josh put 20. Keenan put 17 or something like that.
Yeah. Everyone was being a little conservative, but he came out swinging because he knew who he wanted. And then the rest of his bench, I know it looks bad with A.J. Dillon, McKissick.
He's got all He's got all handcuffs.
Well, yeah, but the minute someone goes down, he's got him, and he's picked all the big like running backs that you would think to get. So
he has 4 San Francisco running backs on his team. He covered all his bases with that one. So whoever. It's funny because Kyle Shanahan has like a true committee there, but whoever is the starter for that week, he could just slide him in there, and they're a run-heavy team, so it's so funny.
Cardinals D, dude, I think, again, it's a great defense to have. I think they showed this.
Yeah, he just picked him up. I wanted to pick him up, but they have not that great of a schedule. Well, they play Minnesota, then Jacksonville, so those are 2 good weeks, but then they have at the Rams, San Francisco, at Cleveland. So that's 3 rough weeks. He's probably streaming.
That's easy.
He's probably streaming because he drafted the Colts anyway. But I understand, like I said, on the draft night, I understood what his strategy was, and I had never seen it actually executed. So it's interesting to see if it'll work out this year, and so far it's worked.
I think it'll keep working, dude. So be it that as long as his tight ends do not get injured, he will be perfectly fine. And I think what we'll see happen later on in the year is one of those tight ends like Travis Kelce or Darren Waller. I'd keep Waller and trade Kelce. I think he'll move up for a running back.
I don't think he will. If it keeps working, I don't think he will. If it keeps working, he's not going to fix what isn't broken. I don't know. It's just, I get the strategy. I definitely do. It's just I wouldn't. For me personally, I wouldn't. I don't know if I would be comfortable starting Nyheim Hines and Elijah Mitchell as my 2 running backs. I don't know. It's just me.
Lockett, right? Like you had Lockett last.
Lockett's boom or bust.
Yeah.
Like I said, if Robert Woods and Tyler Lockett underperform in the same week, he's kind of screwed. I think.
Yeah.
Because we We know he's
Marco?
going to get 60 from Prescott, Kelsey, and Waller. It's just the other guy's got to make up the other 60. So,
You know what upsets me, Marco?
what?
We're talking about Grant's team being 3, and you don't have Alien Grant as your background.
I don't have Alien Grant as my background. Oh, my
Yeah.
God. Oh, my God. Should I do that? Anybody know? Does everybody know what Alien Grant looks like? Let me do that. I don't even have backgrounds. Wow, I should have a different background for every week. So I guess what we'll do from here on out is you're going to send me a background that I will use. If you're on the pod, you'll send me a background that I will use for the first, 15 minutes or so. Oh, I just stopped the video. Wait, change background. I'm sorry we're doing this to you, Grant, but
We'll take this moment to appreciate our sponsors again, Pizza Wagon Brooklyn. Thank you all for the donations. We also want to thank Fortnite for giving us endless entertainment. Marco,
okay,
back to you.
okay, guys, ready? This is Alien Grant. Oh, Miss Wait, here it comes. That's Alien Grant, everybody. I think that was when we were playing online poker with each other. Then he put on his shades. Oh, I will change it. He's gonna get mad, so I'll change it.
It's okay, and that's number 3 for you guys.
How about this one? This is supposed to be him and Teddy. I just got a bunch of... Oh, here's another one. This is Grant in Vegas. This is Grant and some other dude that I took off of Google Images that you can't really see. And this is me and Grant. I kid. All right, back to podcasting. None. Back to podcasting. Okay. So Grant's at 3. Nice work, Grant. Your strategy has worked thus far. Will it continue? Stay tuned. Number 4 in the power rankings this week is Ante. Ante is up 6 spots from last week. Ante is at number 4. Also put on Ante put on a deceptionally strong performance. Would you agree, Vinko?
I would say that's very accurate. It was looking bleak for him at first, and then he came around right at the end with Cooper Kupp. I think you can agree with that too, right?
I mean, he was talking smack to me in the group chat, and Najee Harris 5.9, Kyle Pitts 7.1, Juju Smith-Schuster 9.2.
Yeah, but Najee Harris against the Bills defense, I would like to see what he does against Vegas. If he does not perform against Vegas, then I would be concerned, right? Joe Burrow, I do it's.
I still don't like Burrow, but it's okay.
It's a tough sell because I feel like he could have gotten a better quarterback, but what do you have this week? I don't know, 16 or 18 points?
18 and a half, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see for a quarterback, me personally, if he's not getting me 20 points, I'm losing.
You're losing points there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But Sanders, honestly, that was my big question mark with Ante's team when we drafted. It was I don't know, Sanders wasn't that good last year. Injuries stopped him, but I think he did a very good job this past week or whatever to come up big. And then obviously Tyreek Hill. It's just I think that was the biggest question mark for you, right? Him passing up on Devonto.
No, it's not. That's not a question mark. I just that's not a question mark. That's preference, I guess. But it's just if Devontae Adams is there, you just take Devontae Adams. I don't know. I guess it's preference. And I mean, yeah, Devontae Adams scored 10.5. Will he score 10.5 again this year? Probably not. And Tyreek Hill scored 37.1. Whatever. Those guys are going to be wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2, so it doesn't really matter. But I don't know. If there's one or I don't know, he was just a first-round guy. You just take best available at that point, and he just didn't take best available. So I don't know.
True. And I'd like to see what Kyle Pitts does. I think just 1 week of basing his performance on 1 week, I don't think does him justice. I'd like to see where he pans out in 5 weeks.
He had 8 targets. So
yeah, but he's playing again a very tough defense with Tampa this week. So I don't know. Philadelphia, I don't think has a very good defense, and he only had 7 fantasy points, right? But next week he has Tampa, so we'll see.
The thing that I'm pissed off. So Ante drafted before me, and I think I said this last week, but I wanted Rams defense, and Ante took him the pick before me.
Yeah.
And I wanted Cooper Kupp, and Ante took him the pick before me. And I thought I was getting Tyreek Hill, but he took Tyreek Hill, so I just took Devontae Adams, so it's fine. It's fine. But I wanted Cooper Kupp and I wanted Ramsey, and he took them before me. A guy that I could have taken that I didn't, and I'm pissed that I didn't take him because I always think he's bad, is Mike Williams. I passed up on Mike Williams, and Ante took him with the pick after me. And Mike Williams had 8 receptions for 82 yards and a touchdown with 12 targets, dude. Like, if that stays true, like, Ante snagged an actual flex guy with the 110th pick in the draft.
Yeah.
And Ante's starting him this week, and I would too. Ante's projected 125.8. That's, I think, second most in the league. Like,
and he still has Waddle and
Juju on the bench, so he has 2 viable flex players.
I think 3 with Christian Kirk, but I know you guys are low on him.
I wasn't. I bid. I was actually, so I'll tell you the story. I originally bid $15 on Christian Kirk, but I actually didn't think, A, I didn't want to spend that much, and B, I was just like, I don't really know if anybody's going to spend that much on him. So I dropped my bid to $8, and it turns out Ante bid 18. So even if I bid 15, I would have lost. Ante bid $18 on this dude.
Yeah.
So that's a lot.
I'm glad he got Kirk because he needed another wide receiver, but I'm surprised you guys all passed on Gainwell. When I signed in this morning, I was like, oh, wow.
Who?
Gainwell, the backup for Miles Sanders.
Oh, I don't really give a shit about the backup for... Yeah, I don't care about the backup for the Eagles. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, but I like the Mike Williams, so Ante's at 4. Number 5 on the power rankings this week, no change from the original power rankings now, is me. Now, I had myself at 7. Oh, so me and Vinko had the top 3 the same. Vinko had me at 4. I had myself at 6. We put me at 5. Vinko had Ante at 5. I had Ante at 4. We put Ante at 4 because Ante won and I lost. The way I do power rankings is if you won your top 6 team. If you lost your bottom 6, doesn't matter what the score was. So I put myself at 7. I don't think I'm the 7th best team. I think I'm way better than that. But I put myself at 7. Vinko thought I was the 4th best team, right? Or the 5th best team. Vinko thought I was the 4th best team, so we put me at 5. So once again, I was projected the most amount of points last week in the league. I scored the second most, and now I'm projected the most again this week. And I'm 0-1. So.
Seems like a trend from last year.
Yeah, last year I played Josh week 1. I lost 148 to 137. The year before that, week 1, I played Keenan when he had Christian McCaffrey and Kyler Murray, and he scored 173 on me. So 3 years in a row, week 1, I got absolutely wrecked. 173, 148, 152.5. So I don't really know what else I need to do.
I think I broke my streak. I think I lost every opening season game for the last 3 years.
It is what it is. Yeah. So what do we like? I mean, I look at Josh's team, and I don't see any holes. I look at my team. I look at your team, and I think your only hole is your RB2. I look at my team, and I don't see. I'm sorry, I don't see any holes in my team right now.
One massive hole in flex.
No, I mean, what do you mean? It's the same thing like your Corey Davis situation. If Corey Davis isn't a hole for you, then Brandon Cook shouldn't be a hole for me. It's the same thing. Number 1 wide receiver on really bad offense.
Yeah, but you're basing that off of one game against the worst NFL team I've ever seen before. So you have
the worst NFL team you've ever seen before. Trevor Lawrence is on that team.
Jaguars, yeah. I think they have no defense. And then if we skip over everything else, your bench, I don't think you have a single startable guy on your bench.
Marquise Brown.
Sorry, Marquise Brown.
Mike Davis, you give this guy Mike Davis had 15 carries, he had 6 targets as a receiver. Are you kidding?
15 carries for what? 23 yards. Yeah,
15 carries for 50 yards. They played the Eagles, but 15 carries for 50 yards, and he had 3 catches on 6 targets. He had 10.2 points. He punches in a touchdown. That's RB2 status.
Replacing McCaffrey, going off.
He's my 3rd running back. Are we kidding? No, Cole Beasley? Cole Beasley had 13 targets. Can you look? Cole Beasley, 8 catches for 60 yards on 13 targets.
I never said. I mean, I think Cole Beasley's good, right?
You said I had no bench players. I just named 3.
Dude, okay. Look, Mike Davis is not a bench player because you're not going to start him. Marquise Brown, sure, he had one good week, and then
What do you
Coley.
mean 1 good week? There's
Dude,
only been
against
1 week in the season. Fine, your team
against
did good
Vegas.
1 week. Your team's gonna suck the rest of the season. So fuck you. I
Okay,
mean,
fine. You
use
think
my
Vegas has
language.
a good defense? Go for it.
Like, come on, that's
Start him this
ridiculous.
week.
Vegas does not have a good defense. I will not start Marquise Brown because I think Brandon Cooks will do better. But come on, you're basing it off of 1 week. We're basing this entire podcast off of 1 week. Ugh.
I'm basing it off of my years of experience doing fantasy.
Fine, go ahead, continue. Keep ripping on my team that I still scored the second most in the league and I'm projected the most. Go ahead, keep ripping on it. Keep ripping on it.
With Dalton Schultz, I mean, except for the fact that there's 2 tight ends on the Cowboys offense, so
I added him for $2. He had 6 targets.
well, those $2 could get you someone else later in the year. I don't think anyone else bid on him, by the way.
I don't think he did either, but for $2, whatever.
And then the logic behind Damian Williams.
Somebody's gonna snag him if Montgomery goes down, and he was there, and I had the bench spot, so I took him to cover my bases because Nick Chubb doesn't have a backup.
I will say though, Montgomery, I was very impressed with him. He was the one that I was most worried about because at the start of that game, the Rams are forcing them to run the entire game, and then he went off for, I don't know, what was that, like
40-yard run to start off the game.
Yeah, and that was probably when I was like, oh, this is not good, right? And I thought you could come back and take that win. But, I'm actually impressed with David Montgomery. I really held him much lower, and that's why in the beginning of the season I thought you had a way worse team and not a fifth-place team. But, Chubb, again, good. Tom Brady, beast. Montgomery, good. Devontae Adams, I think the only worry I have with this, and it's not really a concern, is Rodgers, but I think this was just like a 1 week slump, and then they'll be fine next week with Detroit because I think Detroit is terrible. And then Godwin, Marco, I don't think you really have any concerns unless it's an injury with Brady at the helm. I think the one thing that you can say about Godwin is there's a lot of weapons on that offense, so it really comes down to who Brady's throwing to that day. But
14 targets.
Yeah.
14 targets.
Yeah.
David Montgomery looked like an absolute monster against a really good Rams front seven, I think. I don't know. I'm tooting my own horn. I think I like the Busters. I like the Busters a lot.
And honestly, Fant, I'm just looking at your team, he did what he was supposed to, like Goddard did for me. So
8 targets.
Yeah.
And Judy's out now. More food for Fant. I don't know.
And
I'm really upset at you that you said I have nobody on my bench. I have 3 viable bench guys. Come on.
Sure. All right, let's see who would trade for any of those guys.
I actually put in an offer today. I did put them up for sale. I asked for a trade today and it did not go through. That's okay. We'll see what happens. So me at 5. Number 6 on the power rankings also didn't change. It's DJ. DJ is number 6 in the power rankings to round out the top 6. DJ lost Jerry Jeudy this week. He also lost to Josh this week. But I like his team still. And you like his teim still. And as a manager, I think if anybody can overcome an early season wide receiver 2 injury, it's DJ.
And the Reddit gods that he gets all his information from. No, really, I'm very high on DJ's team, and Marco can tell you, DJ, before we did this Zoom, I vouched for you pretty hard. I think your team is in a position where it's obviously going to make the playoffs. I think Kyler, there's not really any concern there. We saw what he could do this week, and I think that'll just keep going. I think he'll be QB1 again, and then Aaron Jones. It sucks that he didn't produce what we expected him to do with at least 15 points. But again, don't really have concerns with him. Antonio Gibson with Heineke at quarterback now with Fitzpatrick not throwing the ball as much. I think Rivera will go for the run game, and Antonio Gibson is poised for a very big year. Deontay Johnson, I think everyone knows that he's targeted on the Steelers offense the most. Antonio Brown was the biggest. I would also say the second biggest steal of the draft. I don't know what his exact value was, but you took him right as I kind of wanted him. I thought he was going to fall down to me, but massive game for him, and I think that'll continue on. It seems like he has that Brady connection. And then Kittle, nothing to say about him. We all knew he was going to be good. I think the only thing I'd be concerned with is Kobe Myers, but then again, Mac Jones. I mean, Marco, you can't really complain with Mac Jones. He came out and showed himself.
No, I was laughing when you said Kittle. We all know we all know who he's gonna be, and he didn't have that good of a game.
I just think for the rest of the year, it's like hard.
No, I think for the rest of the year he'll be fine. Jacoby Myers is his flex because he's literally. It's either Tyson Williams, who did well, or it's Judy, who is on IR, or it's Michael Thomas, but he's out. So
Yeah.
by week 8, he will have Michael Thomas and Jerry Judy back. So he just has to weather the storm for now.
And then with his bench too, like Callaway, Mooney, Elijah Moore. Like Elijah Moore was someone I wanted on my team, but I didn't want to draft 2 Jets players. I just can't on a terrible offense. I can't draft 2 guys. So I stuck with Corey Davis and Tyson Williams. I like a lot too, but I'd be concerned with Latavius being the lead back on that team as he progresses and practices and whatnot.
Well, he has both of them, so
yeah, he's fine. And then I think the thing that really sucks is he lost Jerry Judy. I'm not sure how long that injury is, but he does have Michael Thomas coming back week 6. So DJ's poised for a good bounce back towards the mid-year.
Michael Thomas comes back week 8 because they're on a bye week 7, and Jerry Judy's injury is a high ankle sprain, 4 to 6 weeks.
I mean, but
So
think about it,
that's
right when like you gearing up for playoffs. So I don't know if DJ is gonna wait to make moves. I know it seems like he's already making moves in the background, but I like his team a lot, and that's DJ. I would have marked you up higher if you had won this week.
I actually live text message from DJ. DJ's texting me right now, talking about trades. And I said, on pod right now, he goes, "Oh, damn, with Vinko, tell him to stop being afraid to trade with me and face his fears."
I guess I did want to bring it up, but yeah, he did offer me a trade today, and I'm cursed with DJ. I can't ever get the better end of
destroys your ass every year.
And I'm not Chris Scantlebury. I don't know what he does to talk DJ down, but I told him to stay away and not to offer me any trades because every time I turn down a trade, it ends up being a good trade for me that I just passed up on. So I'm not going to do it.
Face your fears, man. You
should delete my number.
Dance with the devil, tango.
Yeah.
DJ at number 6, the bottom half. I'm sorry to say this, but the bottom half begins with Chris Scantlebury at number 7, down 6 spots. We had this kid as the best drafted team, and he did his projection. He scored 0.58 points above projection, so he was right on the money with his team, and actually his bench was right on the money as well. So they played exactly as they thought. They won. It wasn't that great of a matchup, but I think some of his team definitely underperformed. So he is at 7 this week on the pod, and if we take a look at his team. So talk to me about Scantlebury.
I think I just want to point out the flaws in his team. I think he has a very good team, right? And Herbert, Cook, Carson, Keenan.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure, right?
For sure.
But Julio Jones is someone I was looking at the draft, and I was like, you know what? Last year he screwed me over with the hamstring injuries. I didn't think it would become. I didn't think it was going to come back, but it seems like he just isn't clicking yet with the offense. I think it's going to take some more time for him to do that.
For sure.
But, I mean, what's funny is I'll say that, and then this week he'll just blow up against the Seahawks, right?
For sure.
Jonah Smith, he's just like any other tight end. I mean, we've talked about it, and DJ's even breakdown, like, unless you have Travis Kelce, Waller, or Kittle.
Hawkinson.
The rest of the guys are all the same to me. So Jonah Smith is right in that ballpark. Melvin Gordon, Marco, I mean, we were talking about it beforehand, like, you're super high on him, and I don't know if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, he was one of my. So in the draft, there was that part where there was like all those backup running backs, your James Connors, your Melvin Gordons, your David Johnsons, like your elite ass running backs that were drafted in like the first, second, and third rounds, like last year and the year before, that just are now backups. And he was the one that I wanted the most because I think he's the best out of the 3 of them, and I think he has the most opportunity to actually take over that backfield. And I mean, they played the Giants. The Giants have a good defense. I know he broke out on 170-yard run, but that means something. Like, if a guy can break out in a 70-yard run, to me, that means something. And he had 11 carries for 111 yards and a touchdown. Javonte Williams did outbeat him on the snaps, 14-11 on carries, but Melvin Gordon's the more experienced back, and he's done more with those carries. So there's no reason and eventually Javonte Williams will probably take over that job, but there's no reason for the Broncos to fix what isn't broken. And they also play the Jaguars this week. So they throw in Melvin Gordon there, this dude's going to pop off. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Melvin Gordon has another 100-yard rushing game and then he actually has the starting job for the foreseeable future. Because the Broncos are not a bad. Broncos are one of those teams. Watch out for the Denver Broncos. They have a good defense. They have a lot of weapons at wide receiver. They have two good running backs. And Teddy Bridgewater, he's not elite, but he does not make mistakes. And they have a tough division, but I think they'll be competitive. So that's my 2 cents on MG3.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the rest of his team. His bench, like, it's solid, right? Once he gets Odell back, that's another guy that he can plug and play when needed. I don't think he'll start Odell, which it sucks because you think back to Odell's prime and everyone would have started him, but him on the Browns is just a different player. I hope that we see a breakout with him like we did with Jarvis. I think Odell, when he comes back, he'll take over Jarvis's role, and we'll talk about that a little bit more for Zach's team. Zach has Jarvis, right?
Yes.
So yeah, and then David Johnson. I mean, I picked up Mark Ingram this week. I'm surprised Scants honestly didn't just to lock down that backfield. I would have dropped, I don't know, one of the guys that he has. I don't know why he needs Mac Jones when he has Herbert, but I guess just being a Patriots fan. But yeah, I picked up Mark Ingram this week just because he went off, and I think he may come out as the lead. But I know that backfield is a disaster, so we'll see. And then Sterling Shepard, great game. I'd like to see a little bit more. Couple more weeks of Daniel Jones throwing to see if I think Sterling Shepard is a start. I'm still iffy about that, but yeah. And then obviously you can tell that the Patriots are Scants' favorite team when he has 3 of them on his bench.
David. Sterling Shepard was another guy that was on my late round flyer board that I really wanted, and he took. And he ended up being 7 catches, 9 targets, $113 and a tutty. If you look at this kid's team, actually, this team looks impossible to have like 4 years ago. Julio, Keenan Allen, Dalvin Cook,
Chris Carson,
Melvin Gordon, Odell, David Johnson, Sterling Shepard. Like it's like the Lakers. That's like the Lakers current roster. Like the Lakers current roster would go 82-0 in 2012. This would go like 15-0 in fantasy or 17-0 in fantasy in like 3 or 4 years ago. But I don't know. He's 1-0, so for show. Scantleberry at number 7. Number 8 on the week, we just mentioned him. It is the Big Elf 5.0. It is Zach. Zach's team got better this week with the addition of Will Fuller. Now, I thought Will Fuller was suspended for like 3 or 4 games, so he wasn't really on my board. But it turns out he was only suspended for 1. So Zach just got a free wide receiver back. But he also lost one because Ayuk is ass yuck once again. Boyd didn't really do that well. But he's got Landry now. I mean, wait, how did Landry had 2 rushes for 13 yards and a tutty. Oh, Jarvis Landry vultured Nick Chubb. That's nice. I guess and Kareem Hunt.
Zach, I will say, like, as surprising as it sounds, I think you do have a very good team, and I think
as surprising as it sounds.
I know, coming from my mouth like vinegar, but no, I'm just kidding. But I think you have a very good team, and I think the pairing of CEH and Kamara. CEH was someone I had last year, and I didn't want him this year, but I think he'll do just fine. And Lamar Jackson, again, he's a stellar quarterback, and if he doesn't pan out, I mentioned earlier, right? I'm high on the Eagles, and I think Jalen Hurts can plug in right there. The only downside to your team, it seems like it's James Robinson. I think you might have drafted him actually pretty high, Marco. I think it was James Robinson going in the 2nd round?
27, so he drafted him at the beginning of the 3rd.
Third, right? Yeah, so I think that may screw your team over because you think about all the guys that we all drafted in the 3rd round. You take James Robinson. It doesn't seem like the Jaguars – I don't know what's going on with them drafting Etienne and not using him week 1. So I'd like to see how he pans out. I mean, last year we all can say that Keenan picking him up on free agency was a steal, but
not using Etienne week 1, or just
drafting. I'm saying,
like it's not a comforting sight
yeah,
where like James Robinson was a beast last year and they still drafted Etienne in the 1st round.
Exactly, and they didn't use him all week 1. I don't know.
Yeah, he only had 5 carries and then 6 targets on receiving.
Like, I don't know why you would have Trevor Lawrence throw the ball 50 times when you have a solid running back. I don't know what that organization is thinking, and that's
They were down so big they had to throw the ball.
thing in the beginning, dude. Like it just seemed like
Oh.
I don't know, didn't use him at all, and even as like a pass catching back, like he didn't touch the ball. And
He
then
had 6 targets, 3 catches, 29 yards.
Zach, I'm not sure if you had Singletary. I think you might have had Singletary last year, maybe DJ. I think actually no, DJ might have had him, but he's a good addition to your team. I think you can plug him in for James Robinson. Didn't seem like Zach Moss got a lot of looks this week, but we'll see. And then Jarvis Landry again until Odell comes back. That's a big question mark on who will get the ball over there.
I don't know if I'm allowed to give fantasy advice on the podcast, and I think my fantasy advice is probably bad, but I would start Jarvis Landry over J-Rob this week, especially against who are the Browns playing? I should know this. I have Nick Chubb.
Houston.
Oh, they're playing Houston. Yeah, that's stupid.
Yeah.
I would start Jarvis Landry over J-Rob. J-Rob's playing Denver. I would do that. Just my advice.
You heard it here first.
I like the team. Zach was the one I was trying to trade with. I won't discuss the trade. HIPAA privacy laws. HIPAA fantasy privacy laws. I will not discuss it, but I did offer him a trade, and he said no. So he likes his team, and I like his team. Lamar frustrates me, but I love him. Love Kamara. CEH, I'm high on. I don't know. I just like this team.
Yeah.
Same thing questioning with you. But I think same thing with him. Like Ayuk, Boyd, Landry, 3 viable options. And he has the best. I think he has the best backup quarterback in our league. So
yeah,
he should be fun. Zach at number 8. He plays you this week.
Yep.
Interesting. Let's go number 9. Number 9 on the power rankings this week, down 5 spots from the postseason draft, is the guy I had last week, Rich. Rich is going to be sad to hear that his team is 9th. Rich, I had you at 6. I don't think you're as bad as we have you. But Vinko was mean. Vinko had you at 10.
No.
What do you mean no? They're going to see it anyway.
Again, I like both Scance and Zach's team, and that's why I put them ahead of Rich. The main concerns that I have with Rich's team, right, is Zeke. Well, with Zeke being the first one and being your first round pick, it's like, dude, if this guy's putting up single digits,
running back 46.
Yeah, that's a concern for me, dude. Like you can't.
I know it's one.
I don't. It's just 1 week to base it off of, and we listened to this like 6 weeks down the line. You're gonna call me an idiot, but dude, Tony Pollard looked like he was involved in that offense a lot more than I would have expected over Zeke, right? And McCarthy even said that, we can see what happens with the two of them getting in the mix, right? And then Joe Mixon, I think, great addition to your team. I think he's a solid running back, especially with that offense as well-rounded as it is. Russell Wilson, no concerns there. Terry McLaurin, another concern of mine that I have with your team is he just lost Fitzpatrick. I think the main thing with everyone drafting Terry McLaurin was like, we're going to see Fitzmagic air that ball out like 40 times a game. But I don't know. We'll see what Heineke does. I said earlier that I thought Antonio Gibson with Grant's team is going to be a beast. I think they'll run a lot more, but we'll see there. And then LaVisca, I didn't like any of the wide receivers on the Jaguars because you didn't know who was going to be the main guy. And Marco, I think you can agree, like, sure, they all a safe bet if they continue to throw the ball and they're down like 50 points the entire game. But I don't know, dude. It's like you had Chark get the touchdown. So it's like, are you going to put this guy in your starting lineup for, I don't know, and risk it when he could throw it to Marvin Jones or DJ Chark for the day? So, I mean, you tell me, Marco, like, what do you think? Would you start him in your lineup?
LaVisca, no.
Yeah.
LaVisca would be like a flex guy.
Exactly.
I'm looking at Rich's team, and I'm actually like really, Rich, I love you, buddy, but I'm actually like really concerned. We're in a PPR league, and you only have 2 startable wide receivers already. Like, It's only week 2. You only have 2 startable wide receivers, and like LaVisca, like, so if I look at my team. I mean, I'm not trying to like compare and stuff like that, but I just know my team the best because it's my team. LaVisca would be the 5th wide receiver I would start. I would start Devontae Adams, Chris Godwin, Brandon Cooks, and Marquise Brown over LaVisca Chenault. You can argue the Marquise or LaVisca thing, but he would be my 5th wide receiver on my team, and LaVisca is his 2nd. So Like even McLaurin right now, like McLaurin would probably be my wide receiver 3, and he's his wide receiver 1. And my team is number 5 on the rankings. It's not even number 1.
Yeah, and I think the main thing that one of the things Rich was hoping for was Pittman Jr. to pan out. Well, again, I know it's 1 week we're like making these comments, but Wentz didn't throw to him. You know, like they looked bad. He
4
threw
carries, 4 targets.
4 times to him. So I don't know what they're doing with that offense, and it seems like they're running the ball a lot and throwing it to their running backs. But I'd like to see Wentz come out of his shell a bit more and throw it out to the wide receivers. So we'll see what happens there. Trey Lance, I mean, it seems like they'll bring Trey Lance in for some special plays, but Garoppolo's a quarterback, so I don't know why you have him on your roster. I think you could pick up a bunch of other guys off free agency that are better off if you want a backup quarterback. And plus, you really only need a backup quarterback 1 week since Russell Wilson's your starter, so I think you're wasting a spot there.
No, I disagree. Like I think a lot of people have. So I have one. DJ has one. I think having a backup quarterback is very significant because you never know when your quarterback goes down. And I think like all these rookie quarterbacks to have like it's this situation like last year where Scanterbury drafted Cam Newton and Cam Newton stunk after 3 weeks, and then he picked up Justin Herbert because Justin Herbert was a rookie and he came in after like week 2 and Justin Herbert was a beast. Like we all, like all of us that did that, like DJ that had Fields and I have TL and Rich has Trey Lance, like, and
You're really going to start Trey Lance over Russell Wilson?
no. But in the event if Russell Wilson goes down and Trey Lance has a starting job, Trey Lance is very good.
So
like
that means
otherwise you'd have to go on waivers
for that to happen.
Otherwise you'd have to, yeah, but it's just you being safe. The same thing as you having a handcuff.
Sure.
Same thing as you having a running back handcuff. It's valuable to have this backup quarterback. Otherwise, like you're starting, who are you going to start? You're going to start like Teddy Bridgewater? Like I'm not starting Teddy Bridgewater for a whole year. No thanks. Matt Ryan? No thanks.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then
I like those things.
The other thing I was going to say is my draft strategy, if you guys haven't noticed, is I stay away from teams that are cursed, and I think the Detroit Lions are cursed. So I mean, Hawkinson, obviously, with Goff, that's a great matchup. I think even in preseason, they were saying that the two connected well, and he threw it to him a ton, right? And Deandre Swift, I know he had like 8 receptions this week, but I'd like to see what the running backs do at the Lions, but I don't think they'll continue keeping up what they've been doing.
Both of those running backs had 25 fantasy points this week, which is kind of crazy. And Hawkinson at 25.5, and Goff had like 28. Granted, that was like a crazy game. I don't think the Lions will repeat that performance like that, but DeAndre Swift, I was wrong on, at least for now. He's a viable flex. Maybe even, like, honestly, dude, DeAndre Swift, I'd rather have DeAndre Swift than Myles Gaskin.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, true.
Okay, and he's his third running back, and Myles Gaskin's your RB2. So, but you have McCaffrey, so it doesn't really matter. Your running back 1 is better. Yeah, but your wide receivers are also way better, so. Rich at number 9.
Yep.
Oh boy, Cataldo, you're at 10 and you are 8 spots down. Boy, did you have a stinker. So not only did you have a stinker this week where you scored 78 points, but you had a stinker against your arch nemesis Grant that put 145 on your dome, and your bench outscored your starters by 11. Your bench scored 88 points this week. Your starters scored 11. You left 37 points on the bench. I think it was, from my calculations from the PowerPoint. You left like 37 points on the bench. Your spread, your achievement spread, is minus 35. You're lucky you're not 12, buddy. I'm sorry. I love you. I love your team. But you're lucky you're not 12. And we have you at 10. We have you at 10 because your team is still actually really good.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Talk to it.
I mean, Marco, this was a tough one for Marco and I. I think
we had to put you 10. There's no way we couldn't. But
yeah, and don't get butthurt that we put you low. But we think your team is respectable and should be higher. But it's like impossible to put your team higher when you put up 78 on week 1. I do think your team is middle of the pack. I really do. I think Aaron Rodgers putting up 1 point, I don't think that gives him a fair.
That will happen.
Yeah, I don't think that'll ever happen.
That won't happen again. Or maybe it will, but I don't know.
Derrick Henry getting shut down on the offense, I don't think will happen again. I think he'll come out this week against the Seahawks, and we'll see a lot more of him. I think what we saw last week with the Titans was a very disorganized offense, and the only person that really clicked with Tannehill was AJ Brown. So I think they'll fix it this week and come back big against the Seahawks. Kareem Hunt, we all know what you're getting with Kareem Hunt. Like this week, you got a big number with him. I think I don't even know the exact number for fantasy points. So at 17 points. I don't think this week you'll get 17 points, but I think Kareem Hunt is someone that'll get you 10 or 11 consistently. And then he's good for those big boom weeks. And so what you saw this week, him playing against Houston is perfect for you. I think you're primed for a great matchup against, it's a Chris Squared matchup. Nice. So I think you'll have a good week with Derrick Henry playing the Seahawks, Aaron Rodgers playing Detroit, Kareem playing Houston. That's solid for you. And then DK Metcalf playing Tennessee. It's like your main guys are playing terrible offenses. Moving forward, though, Justin Jefferson with Arizona, that's a tough matchup. We'll see how well he does. I know I personally wouldn't have drafted Justin Jefferson as high as I think you might have gotten him in the second round.
Third round, beginning of the third.
Was it?
Beginning of the third, yeah, it was 28.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have drafted him in the beginning of the third. Personally, I don't think, compared to the other guys that were there, he's worth it that high. I still think, personally, I would have drafted Thielen higher over him, but I know what fantasy was projecting the two of them. They thought Justin Jefferson would be the better of the two. So we'll see. And then Rob Gronkowski, I think he's a good tight end, but I don't think we'll see, the points that we saw this week with him. And Chase Claypool, I still think is a solid wide receiver. And that's why I hold your team so well, is because I think you have a well-rounded team, just a bad week one.
It's funny because we were talking about like holes on teams. I don't see a hole on this kid's like in the starting 9. I do not see a hole here.
Yeah.
Like I don't. I mean,
it was just a bad showing.
It's a bad week. Like he has a bona fide QB1, a bona fide RB1, a bona fide RB2. Why would every player that he has at every position fits the exact description of what it should be.
Yeah.
Like literally. Claypool.
I'll be the dark horse manager, I think. I think he will.
Yeah. Oh, we have to do those. Best, worst, and dark horse. I forgot about those. We got to add that to the end. Best, worst, dark horse.
The guy that didn't even listen to the week 1 pod is coming up with the ideas.
You didn't even listen to the pod?
I'm kidding. I did the Spark Notes version.
Can you fast forward it to 2x on YouTube?
You could do 1.5 times speed, and then you could just jump right to where you were talking about my team.
Oh God. Yeah, I don't see a weakness on his team. I just think his team put up a weak performance. So Cataldo at 10.
Yep.
Number 11 in the power rankings, up 1 spot from last week. Joe Nichols. Joe, you're at 11. Joe, I don't think anybody but you likes your team. to be honest with you, I think everybody before. I mean, I shit on Joe's team all the time. Since I've started podcasting, all I've done is just shit on a team managed by Joe Nichols. And I don't know. I love the kid and he's my pal, but him and I with fantasy. I mean, I don't know. He's probably better than me in fantasy, and he makes a push. But
he does. He challenges everyone. I
don't know. How is he projected 123.6? What is with this thing?
JT and Josh Jacobs.
Okay, so let's go down. Everybody's team, I don't like. Everybody's team I like, and then there's maybe 1 or 2. Okay, I love Pat Mahomes. Jonathan Taylor I'll take. I wouldn't have taken him at 6, but I like Jonathan Taylor. Josh Jacobs I do not like. Kevin Ridley I like. Debo, Debo put up 12 targets, 9 catches, $189 and a tutty. Will he do that again? I do not think so. I think every week it's going to be a different guy for Shanahan. Jared Cook is his tight end. He just picked him up off waivers because he had Gesicki, who got him 0. Robbie Anderson, 1 catch, 57 yards and a touchdown, 3 targets. Oof. Kenny Golladay is now on his bench. That was his wide receiver too. I don't like the kicker. He had 1 point. I don't know. I don't like his bench. I mean, Marvin Jones Jr. is okay, but again, how many of these Jaguar wide receivers are we gonna have? I know TL's got to throw the ball, but he spent $8 on he spent $7 on Le'Veon Bell when nobody was taking him.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
don't
I want to
know.
put some respect on Joe's team. Look, Patrick Mahomes, stellar quarterback. He'll be a top 3 quarterback,
Okay.
obviously, right? Jonathan Taylor, I think, will still be a top. I don't know. I mean, drafting him, he picked him 6 overall.
Yeah.
I think that was high for JT. I think
Yeah.
JT will probably be running back. I don't know, 10, maybe 11. Who knows? Depends
He's
on
running back
how.
11 right now, so
Yeah, so we'll
I
see
don't
how
know.
that
I would
pans
have rathered
out.
Eckler, Aaron Jones, Chubb before Jonathan Taylor. Like if
Agreed.
Jonathan Taylor fell to me, like I would only have taken Jonathan Taylor if it was Jonathan Taylor and Nick Chubb. If Josh took Nick Chubb and I had Jonathan Taylor, like I would have had to have I probably would have taken like Najee Harris and a wide receiver over Jonathan Taylor. I think. Like I don't even know. So
But you can't even say anything bad about I mean Josh Jacobs. I'm not a fan of Raiders players, right? So I never draft Raiders players, but you can't fault him. Like Joe can back him by saying week 1 he got 17 points,
2 touchdowns. The dude's 10 carries, 34
right?
yards.
Yeah,
Two touch,
but
like
yeah.
he's the most touch, and he had 1 catch on 6 yards. He's the most touchdown dependent running back in the league.
But
Like
that's what you want. That's all you need. And I think Joe can argue that it's like you just want a guy that his team gets him to the red zone, and then
really, 10 carries for 34 yards. That's what
dude,
you want?
17 points is what I want and 2 touchdowns. Right?
If I
And
mean,
then Calvin
well,
Ridley,
sure.
a, like a bat, and dude, this guy is a lock. He's a wide receiver 1. Matt Ryan's a great quarterback. 8 targets this week. I mean, 10 points is just a bad showing for him because he didn't have any touchdowns. But I think he'll be fine with Calvin Ridley. And to your point with Debo, it's I just don't know the 49ers offense well enough to say that Debo is going to be very good this year.
If I don't have Kittle, I do not want anybody on that team.
Yeah, true.
Sorry.
And then Robbie Anderson, I was looking at Robbie Anderson just because of last year's performance, but we can't really judge that the same because now it's what's his face, Sam Darnold thrown to him. So I know a lot of people are like, oh, he had that connection with the Jets. So we'll see how Robbie Anderson pans out. New Orleans is a great defense this week, so I'm not having high expectations because this is a team that struggled against who did the Jets play this week?
Panthers.
Panthers. Yeah, it was the most boring.
We have a guest appearance on the pod today.
Doing.
Would you like to come in? It's a video. It's on YouTube now, so you'll be no.
Camera shy.
I'm looking down as if I'm talking to like a dog or something. Would you like to be on the podcast? Do you want something? The pod's almost over. Like 10 minutes. We have one more ranking to go through, and then we have.
Yeah, and it's the worst team. So
Okay, see you later.
But yeah, Joe at 11.
Joe at 11. Last on the list. My guy. I mean, I say I love all my friends. I mean, I love you, Keenan, but Keenan, you have the worst team. And it's so funny because I say that and I'm gonna lose to you this week. I play Keenan and I'm projected the most in the league, and Keenan's projected the least in the league. I'm projected to beat Keenan by, let's do the math. Let's get the exact math.
You know what's gonna happen to you? Matt Stafford throws for 30 fantasy points, and then Saquon comes out and just blows up your team.
I'm projected to beat Keenan by 14.8. That's an entire wide receiver too. That's actually the defense and the kicker. My defense and my kicker combined 14.5. I'm projected to beat him by 14.8. So if I took out my kicker and my defense, I'd still be projected to beat him. Keenan. I mean, I love Matt Stafford. I think you'd reached on him a little early, but if you wanted him, that was your guy. Wow, you took him 77th. Ugh. Antonio Brown went 84th. You took Matt Stafford before Antonio Brown went?
I think the whole was pretty apparent with this team is running back, right? You got two, Saquon, he drafted him high because everyone thought this was a comeback tour. We'll see what the Giants pan out, but I don't think I have any concerns with Hopkins and AR being his wide receivers. I think the minute we have Justin Fields get on the actual field, AR is going to be a beast. And even with Dalton, I think just Dalton's first game, he didn't really throw it that much, and just the game flow with the Rams, making them run every single time. That's why we didn't see a lot of AR. Them playing Cincinnati, that's a favorable matchup for Chicago, and I'd like to see what AR does there and then make a better assessment. So Logan Thomas, I know a lot of people were big on him, especially with Curtis Samuel coming out. I'd like to see how Heineke does throwing the ball. I think Keenan's fine at tight end, and DJ Moore, I think he's looking more like himself with Sam Darnold, so I think he's fine there.
I like his 3 wide receivers. I like his tight end. I like his defense. His kicker is smart because that kicker is going to get a lot of action, and he has one good other wide receiver on his bench, Cortland Sutton. I hate his running back combo. I think he took his quarterback early, and I think besides Cortland Sutton, his bench is bleak.
Yeah. And so, like, I compare his team. I know Grant's going to kill me for saying this. I compare his team to something like. Actually, no. The reason why I would compare his team to Grant is because.
What, AR and Hopkins being equivalent to Kelsey and Waller?
Well, like the similar
And then
situation
Thomas
where,
and
like,
Moore to Lockett and Woods. I
Keenan
mean,
inadvertently drafted a team that has no running backs right now, and Grant, as opposed to not
purposely drafted a team with
Yeah.
no running
So, like, Grant
backs.
has no running backs, but he has sick wide receivers. So Keenan, for his system to work, he needs his wide receivers to make up for all the points that his running backs are missing out on. But I think he'll be fine with Cortland Sutton now being a little bit higher and probably get more targets with Judy out. So yeah.
I don't know, Keenan. I have you at 12. He had me and Vinko both had Joe and Keenan at 11 and 12. I'm gonna lose to the worst team, so that's just great.
Heard it here first.
So the power rankings, the final rankings for this week. Vinko at 1, Josh 2, Grant 3, Ante 4, Marco 5, DJ 6, Chris Scandleberry 7, Zach 8, Rich 9, Chris C at 10, Joe 11, Keenan 12. So before we wrap up, we'll do real quick best, worst, and dark horse managers. It's a thing we started last year. It's a thing we'll keep going again. People like being the dark horse manager more than like being the best manager. Is it fair to say that, Vinko?
Yeah.
Okay. So who is your
dark horse manager?
Oh, I have to put that. I'll throw that on the Excel as well.
Yeah.
Who's your best manager?
I would give it.
I'm the best manager.
I'm not gonna be that guy. I'm gonna give it to this week. I'm gonna give it to Josh. I think with Jameis being drafted last round and then just his overall team, I think Josh is a formidable force this year. So I'll give him the best manager.
Nice. Who's the worst manager? It has to be.
Do I base it off last week? So if it was off last week, I'd give it to Cataldo for how many points he left.
Yeah.
Give it to the person whose team I think is the worst. It'd be Keenan.
But Keenan, just because his team is the worst doesn't mean he's the worst manager.
It's Cataldo. Sorry, Cataldo. You're my boy. Go drink a Coors Light or something.
Who's your dark horse manager? Funny thing is, it's also probably Cataldo.
Cataldo, yeah, because I think his team is gonna come back this week.
It's also Cataldo. So Cataldo's the worst manager, but he's also the dark horse. He's gonna love that, so that's fine. He'll be okay with being the worst as long as he's the dark horse. So that's good. So best manager Josh, worst Cataldo, dark horse Cataldo. And then obviously the one last thing. So I'm sorry, Rich. I did not put your Pick'em 6 results on the PowerPoint. I will do that after this podcast, and I will add that to the PowerPoint, and the change will be reflected in the upload to the Google Drive. And then I will also add the best, worst, and dark horse managers on the Excel sheet, so we can also keep track of those, so people can do that. And then once the season gets we're in the season where it's 3 or 4 weeks in, we'll start doing the championship contenders, the playoff in, the on the cusp, and the bottom feeders, because I know Joe can't wait to be a bottom feeder again. Okay, so, and I'll put those on the Excel sheet after, but those will be after week 4. I think we'll start those after week 4. So, matchups. Marco versus Keenan. I don't even know how Rich did, so I'll have to check. But Marco versus Keenan.
I want Keenan to win this one, so I'm gonna speak it to existence. So Keenan.
Okay. Comes on my pod, tells me that Keenan's gonna win.
I have faith, Keenan, even though I said you have the worst team. I'll change.
Well, I think Rich Rich said that I was gonna win, and I lost. So maybe you think Keenan's gonna win and I'll win. So Zach against yourself.
I'm gonna bank on my team winning this one.
Rich versus Ante.
Ante.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's payback for putting him 8th.
There you go.
The matchup of the Chris's. This is actually an interesting matchup because these are both
This is
teams
a
that
good,
I
yeah.
think underperformed last week, and I think have the potential to pop off. So I think this would be the game of the week. I think this is the game of the week.
I think so, and I think they should be on the pod next week. But I think Cataldo
Well,
will
Cataldo,
prove me right for the Dark Horse manager.
Joe versus Josh.
Josh.
Joe will be 0-2, and then he'll start. Hopefully, Joe starts panicking and starts setting out some trade offers after he loses, because
He's going to have to give away Mahomes.
so far it's been quiet. So far it's been all quiet on the Western Front in the Dirty Dozen podcast, the Dirty Dozen League, and then Grant versus DJ. That's actually an interesting matchup too.
Another matchup.
That's a great matchup.
I would have to give it to Grant.
Wow, DJ going 0-2. That's another guy that's gonna start blowing it up if he loses. Not that if he loses to Grant, but if he goes 0-2, DJ, he's gonna send shit to the moon.
Yeah.
You'll see like 45 trades go through. He'll start revamping the whole team. So there you have it, folks. I think that was a quick one today. Maybe it was long. We wanted it to be quick, but we extended it a little bit. But that's okay. So there you have it. We're done. Tomorrow's matchup is what's the game tomorrow? Who's playing Thursday Night Football? Da-da-dun, oh, it's Giants at Washington, I think. Right? Yeah, Giants at Washington. Who do you have in that game?
Washington.
Even with Taylor Heineke, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Daniel Jones. Rich has Washington defense. I think Washington defense is going to get 15 points tomorrow. Daniel Jones is going to fumble it 4 times and throw 2 picks. So it's a good game. Good game. Okay. That's all it is for me. Any last words? Any like bold predictions? Last words? Woody?
No, Marco, I don't think he'll make the playoffs.
Aha! And that's it for Vinko on this year's podcast. So he is done. So everybody say ciao ciao to him.
Bye.
So everybody, this podcast will be up tomorrow. Oh, today is 9/15. Today is Wednesday, September 15th, 2021. Podcast will be up tomorrow. And that's it from us. So until next time, ciao ciao.
Oh, I beat you.
Again, how do I stop recording?